Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So guys, what I'm going to talk to you about today is trapping mink, north and south. These sets that I'm going to put in for you, the demonstration I'm going to do is going to be on dry ground because I ain't got no water. We are powder dry down here in southeast Iowa right now. We got a ½ inch of rain last night, but you couldn't tell it today. There's still big cracks in the ground that I would sure hate to drop my pocket knife off into. I would never get it back. So anyway, I'm going to do this on dry ground. You're going to have to use your imaginations a little bit. I apologize for that, but it's just the way it is. So stay with me. Let me get the camera flipped around here and we'll get right at it. All right, guys. So what I've done here is I've dug a shallow little pocket back in underneath that rock and into the bank. The trap is bedded in front of the pocket, but it's also covering, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it's actually covering the whole entrance of that pocket. That is very important when you're trapping mink. You want that mink to not be able to skirt around that trap anywhere at all. And if he does, or if you think he's able to, just place a stick in there to make sure that he stays. Man, that's old ground. Hard. But make sure that that mink stays the path that you want him to stay. Now, these sets work great up here in the north. They don't work worth a dang in the south. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But anyway, that would be the way that I put in a pocket set. Just enough water to cover over top of the trap, and that's it. Now, you can do this with a 1.5. You can do it with a number 11. You can do it with a number 2. Just make sure that there's not any room for that mink to skirt around that trap. I like to put a piece of bait back in there. It could be muskrat, it could be fish, it could be whatever. About the size of my fist. Then a good smear of lure up underneath the top lip of the pocket. Could be my Longliner's Pal. Could be Thunderstruck. Either one of the two really work well on mink. Anyway, that would be your typical pocket set right there for mink. Another set I like to use quite often is a fish stake, which you can see in my deadliest raccoon set video if you want to go back and take a look at that. If you're not allowed to use exposed bait that goes along with the fish stake set, you can always use a portable pocket. Granted, now I understand you would want that portable pocket down lower. And again, you want just enough water to cover the trap. And I like to keep that trap up as close and tight to the bank as I possibly can. That way that mink's first step off of the bank is into the traps. And I like to run 2 traps. I've only got one here for demonstration purposes, but I want 2 traps in front of that, either the fish stake or the portable pocket. Like I said, if you want to go back and look at that fish stake, it's in the deadliest raccoon video. Both of those type sets are absolutely deadly on mink. And then later in the season, as things freeze up, go to the open riffles. Go to where there's open water, the running tiles, running field tiles, the open spring holes, and your open riffles. That's where your mink are going to be. They're going to be to the water. So that's where these sets, you want to put those in to really maximize on catching mink. Another, chunk of fish up in the top of the pocket, chunk of fish on top of the fish stake, and again, another good shot of a lure of some kind. So anyway, those sets are deadly on mink if you choose to use them. Okay, so as I stated, those sets that I just showed are deadly on mink up here in the north. Now, when you go further south, down southern Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, those sets aren't worth a hoot. Because of the simple fact is, the grocery store is always open. I mean, they've got food everywhere. And until you actually go down there and see it and go down there and trap, you don't quite understand what I'm talking about. But the food store is always open. So they can go anywhere they want and grab a bite to eat, whether it be crawfish, minnows, frogs, mice, rabbits, snakes, whatever it might be. It's always there and it's always ready for them. So bait doesn't really work well down there. Not saying that they won't go to it, not saying that you won't catch a few mink on bait down there, because I have, but it's not the preferred method. The preferred method in the south is blind set. When you're in like southern Missouri, on into the delta of Arkansas and down through the southeast of Arkansas, you've got a lot of canal ditches, a lot of canal drainage ditches. Those things are mink hot spots. And what I try to look for there, I want cover. Okay, I want grass. I want where the mower, and a lot of times those levees are mowed, but down over the edge where the mower, where it's not safe for them to mow and they can't get to it, that's where I want to be. You'll see a faint little trail a lot of times running down the length of those canal ditches. That's where your mink are. Now, granted, on warm days, you want to be really careful because it's a pretty snaky son of a gun down in there. And I don't mean just the garter type. I'm talking about the cottonmouths. So, you got to be really careful. But if you can get there, you will catch a lot of mink. And you want to make sure that you've got everything staked good and solid when you're in those areas, because those otter run those too. A lot of times you'll pick up several otter doing that. And you'll catch up, a lot of coons, skunks, possums. And that's another reason why I don't like to use bait when I'm down in that country, because of the possums. And granted, you're going to catch some up here in these little shallow sandy ditches and creeks, but you don't have as many as what you do down south, trust me. So that's another reason I don't like to use so much bait down there. I try to find those little faint trails that run up and down those canal ditches. Now, the further south you go off down into Louisiana, you've got crawfish ponds. That's a whole nother animal altogether too, because what you've got, you might have a crawfish pond here, a levee, and then a crawfish pond here, and then another a canal ditch back here behind it. Okay, so you've got the crossover coming out of the canal over into the crawfish pond. Then you've got another crossover a lot of times coming from this crawfish pond going over into this crawfish pond. So those are all hot locations to set. And again, I look for the cover. I look for the grass, the palmettos, anything like that, because that keeps that mink concealed. It keeps him hid. And all he has to do is dart across the levee and he's hid again. Dart across the levee and he's hid again. Now, the same holds true on those canal niches down there in Louisiana. Down underneath, under the ledge, there'll be a faint trail. Gosh darn these gnats. There'll be a faint trail there. You want to look for that. You want to set those. And again, it's a snaky son of a gun down in there. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. That's the one thing on the face of this earth I'm scared of, is a snake. I'll crawl in a pen of the meanest, nastiest bramer bulls you ever laid eyes on. Knock the living hell out of all of them. But you throw a snake in there and I'm out. I don't deal well with them. I'm going to hurt myself worse getting away from them. What snake's ever going to hurt me, but that's beside the point. But anyway, you look for that little trail that runs under there, and you're going to catch a lot of mink. And then you set that crossover, and then you set the crossover again, you're going to load up on them. Now, a lot of times, too, in that grass, there'll be another trail a lot of times up high. Not down over the ledge in the canal, but up between the mode and the water. Okay? And you'll see them little trails snaking through there, and a lot of times they'll V off and Y around. Be going through the grass and through the vines, and there won't be a hole that big around. But you set those, okay, because everything is using that. And I don't care if mink, coon, otter, doesn't matter what it is. You wouldn't think an otter going through a hole that big around, but by golly, I'm here to tell you they do. So if you got places like that to set, you better be setting them. Do not overlook anything, okay? It's very important. All right, guys, I think we're going to end this video here. I appreciate every one of you tuning in to watch. I appreciate everything you've done for my channel. If you would, please, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button for me, please. And maybe, like I said, you want to go back and look at some of my older videos. There's a lot of information in them, guys, on different subjects and different animals. So maybe you want to go back and take a look at some of those, too. Guys, I appreciate it again. Once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.